What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Hangout Spot where you already know it's Real Talk Sports Talk. Live from my man cave, it's your boy Johnny, and let's talk boxing because this weekend we have the Mexican Showdown. Cinco de Mayo weekend is finally here. The big one is upon us. We got Canelo against Munguia. I think that's going to be a hell of a fight, but let's not forget, boxing right now is on absolute fire. If you are a boxing fan, this is where it's at. We got championship fights almost every weekend, all the way through basically August, with the big fight card that was announced, the first Riyadh season fight card that's going to be taking place in the U.S., and we'll cover that in a second. But, I mean, you got the dudes that are fighting for undisputed titles. You got the females, that are going to be duking it out in the summertime. So the females are not only popping in the ring, but they're popping outside the ring too, which brings me to my special guest, an editor-in-chief correspondent for the boxing media channel, Boxing Playhouse. She hosts a podcast, a live podcast, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. She writes articles about boxing. She does interviews with boxers. So without further ado, I'd like to bring in my homegirl, Sakura.
What's up, Johnny? How's it going today?
What's going on, girl? Welcome to the Hangout Spot.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you giving me the invite. And I got to go hang out in that cool space one time or two.
Listen, once you are always welcome to the Hangout Spot, man. Once you come on here, you family. You family.
Right.
And I know that we've, we met, at the Amanda Serrano fight in Orlando, and it was it was a packed house. You were there doing media. I was sitting by you, and I've been following you ever since, and looking at your podcast and your articles, and you do your thing. You know your stuff about boxing. So I've been trying to get you on for quite some time. So I'm glad that you were able to get some time on to come on here, and but because I wanted to get your take on a lot of things going on in the world of boxing. And I know that we're going to go over the Canelo Munguia stuff. I want to get your take on some of the women boxing stuff that's going on as well, especially with what's going on in July. The big one, the rematch between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. I can't wait for that one, but we'll table that one for a minute. Let's discuss the elephant in the room right now. The big hot topic of conversation that just popped up the last the last 48 hours. Something that kind of shocked the heck out of me, but Ryan Garcia. So a couple weeks ago, we all know what he did against Devin Haney. Personally, he shocked the hell out of me with all his pre-fight antics. I was making videos, Sakura, that I didn't even think the fight would be competitive because I thought he had something going on up here. Obviously, he fooled all of us. He came into the fight, 3 pounds overweight, and he mauled Devin Haney. Let's just call it what it is. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, we got word that he got popped for a positive PED. And I just don't know what to think about this because part of me doesn't want to believe it. But again, this is the world that we live in, right? Reality is reality. When there's smoke, there's fire. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, they're saying that, the test was done a day prior to the fight, then on the day of the fight, and then there's a whole bunch of other tests that he did prior that were negative, and then these were positive. My question is now, 2 weeks later, what's going on with that? What's your take on it?
Yeah, it is a little bit of a suspicious element to it with the timing. I know it takes 72 hours for most of these drug tests to come back with results. And so I don't know why we were breathlessly waiting for these results. And I didn't even know that it was VADA testing involved in this fight. Because a lot of times these fights go on and I'm just assuming a lot of them don't have VADA testing. So, I know that the day of and afterwards, they do some testing for the live event, but that the boxing commission does. So, you get some you get some type of monitoring in most boxing events, but you know, when you talk about prize fighting, it's not necessarily that is written in the contract that it should be a VADA, you know, test. So it does have question. It does raise questions whether we would have found out about it or not had someone not leaked information, or if someone didn't get pissed off with Oscar, or like it's a lot of things that came out with the timing of it too that were kind of suspicious. But that being said, we have to take these tests seriously, and we don't want any of our boxers to get hurt when dealing with boxers that are using PEDs, especially when they can cause serious damage to a boxer who we who doesn't know that there is anything like that involved, and who is considered to be the one in the dark, along with the fans, that substances have been taken. In Ryan Garcia's case, he says, you know, of course, adamantly that he did not take anything. So there's a couple of things that could have happened during his training that could possibly be reasons why he wouldn't know. There's this thing called snacks that people are doing now, and they saying, a lot of the experts are saying they need to be eliminated or banned from boxing. So I don't know exactly what's all in the snack with the C at the end. I don't know what all is with that, but I'm gonna do some research and find out exactly what all that means. But if we're talking about his actual performance, I have to go back to the fact, like, had he not had that substance in his system, no matter how small or how great it was, do we think that Ryan Garcia would have had his way with Devin Haney? That's the real question when it comes to the actual fight and the results. And I have to say that I was shocked, and I was shocked at the outcome and how things developed in that fight. I feel like when Haney got hurt in the first round, it just seems like that kind of just threw him off his game, and he was never able to regain his footing in that fight. And that could be because the punch, you know, hurt him really bad, and and then he's getting hit with other punches, not just the left, but the left hook, but also right hooks as well. There were a lot of combinations. There was some punches that Haney didn't even see. And I was kind of shocked that he didn't have an answer for it at least the left hook, because that was what we kind of expected from Haney, that he was going to have some type of skilled game plan in place defensively to handle Ryan. So it's just kind of, I'm like, damn, the way that fight developed and the way he got hurt in the beginning, I mean, would Ryan have been able to do that had this substance not been in his system? I would have to say that I strongly believe that Ryan has Haney's number. If they were to fight and both of them were completely clean and it was the same setup, I would have wanted to see them fight at a different weight class, a heavier weight class, because I think both of them have surpassed 140. But that being said, I just feel like that's a long-standing rivalry in which both know each other, and Ryan did something different than a lot of other opponents have done with Haney, and that was he didn't try to outbox him. He didn't try to box with him. Instead, he took the fight to him. He made it ugly. He gave him a lot of pressure, and he was very much relentless in there with awkwardness. And that is a killer for a solid skill boxer. You know, just not being able to deal with that unorthodox behavior. So I feel like, as far as the win is concerned, I'm afraid I feel like Ryan has Haney's number on the professional stage. But how does Ryan Garcia go about proving that he's, that he is innocent of this? He would either have to come up with the substance that he believed he ingested that had those levels of steroid in them, and literally there's no other way besides the B samples that we're taking or set aside from those blood samples. They would have to come back that they weren't any steroids in that. So what do you think about it, though?
No, facts. I mean, you touched on a lot of key points here, and I was taking notes. You're right. He has 10 days, obviously, and supposedly today I saw the Canelo Munguia weigh-in, and he was there, and he was interviewed. At some point towards the ending part, and he went on a tirade there and said that he was requesting a sample. I mean, he was cursing out Victor Conti, who's the guy that is linked to Nevada and the guy that was kicked out of Major League Baseball, obviously, with his involvement with players and steroids. So, he's going down that route. Like, he was set up, because this guy who works side by side with Vada, who also, I guess he works with Haney or something like that in some capacity. So he thinks it's some kind of a setup or conspiracy theory, right? I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know. But yeah, I mean, he has 10 days for the B sample. What happens when that comes back? I mean, you touched on a point here. Like, far too often in sports, and I'm not even just talking about boxing, we have athletes that get pinched for PEDs, and then they claim, well, I was taking a supplement and I didn't know what was in it. Like, what's going on with that? Like, why do you not know what is going into your body? Because at the end of the day, Sakura, if that's what he comes out with, well, I took this type of supplement, I didn't know this was in it. Why do you not know what's going into your body? You're a professional athlete. I mean, you have people around you that can, nutritionists. A lot of these athletes have nutritionists, right? That they hire, chefs. I just don't understand. I think, that's overblown or whatever, or just an excuse. But I don't know. I honestly, Sakura, I don't even know what to make out of it. It's just disappointing because at the end of the day, as a true fight fan, I agree with what you said, right? We want this sport to be clean. I mean, this type of stuff you can't mess with this stuff. I mean, we already know the world of boxing, how dangerous it is right now. These, guys and females are going into the ring, they're risking their lives, right? Then you fight somebody with a clear advantage. I mean, that's you can cost somebody their life. That's nothing to play around with. So I take that very, very serious, like you said. But it just diminishes a great performance. And you're
spectacular win.
It was a spectacular win. A lot of people didn't, including myself. I had to eat crow for days. I didn't see that coming. Trust me when I tell you I did. I didn't see it coming, but I gave Brian his props. And one thing you also touched on, because one of the questions that I was going to ask you, and I'm here with Sakura from Boxing Playhouse, is what happens next, right? So do they have a rematch? If they do, and I think Haney has said that he doesn't want one. We'll get into that in a second. But if they do, I got to agree with you. I think that Ryan just has Haney's number. I really do. There's a lot of familiarity with them from fighting in the amateurs. And when I said that to certain people, they were saying, well, that was the amateurs. Haney's a different fighter and Ryan's a different fighter. And I get that. And they're right. But there's still something to be said. There's still something to be said about getting in the ring with somebody 6, 7, 8 times. You know what I mean? That's just that comfort factor. And if that's what you need to get you over that edge, then it's a good advantage to have that comfort factor, right? You're fighting somebody that you're fairly familiar with. So I think that also Ryan is physically, regardless of whether he's on PEDs or steroids or whatever it is, I think he's just the bigger guy, the bigger puncher. He was certainly the bigger guy that night, but Haney was allowed to rehydrate as well. Both those guys were in the 160s on fight night. I know they were. I know Ryan was bigger. But I don't know. I mean, getting back to what I was saying, Devin Haney said that he doesn't want a rematch. There's now talk that if it does come back and, that they'll rule it a no contest. I don't know. It's just another stain on this beautiful sport that we just don't need. It ruined a great night. It was awesome. It was awesome. I People were
I mean,
talking.
it didn't ruin my night. I mean, I don't feel like it's ruined because that was a excellent fight to be a part of, and especially with the shock factor of most everyone saying Ryan had no chance whatsoever. The 3 pounds, people say that helped him. And obviously, you don't have to drain down to 140s. And those last couple of pounds are some of the worst as far as draining. However, we don't know what the hell he had to go through to get to the 143 mark. He could have been just as drained trying to get there. But also, I think that it was strategic in the fact that they knew that Haney had already ballooned up to 164 the night of the fight. He fought Regis Prograis. So they knew he was going to be up there in that range, 24 pounds more than what the limit was, what the weight was for the Prograis fight. So they were strategic in that. And it's kind of like it backfired on Haney, to be honest with you. I mean, he had been doing that weight thing and bullying and draining himself to get down into a weight class that he knew he no longer really belonged in for a while, and taking smaller boxers and bringing them up to force, to fight him, including Lomachenko, Gamboa. These are just two names I just thought of right away. But even Prograis, he can only gain so much because he is a smaller 140. But like it just backfired on him when somebody like Gervonta Tank Davis said, like this what happens when you fight somebody that's actually your size. Needless to say, all of that got thrown out the window once those results come out, stating that Ryan tested positive. I mean, that negates that the fact that we thought it was a great fight. We thought it was irony. We thought it was, an amazing fight. All of that gets reduced. And that lends its ear to what Ryan Garcia was saying, is that they're diminishing my fight win.
Absolutely.
But I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I got to give a shout out to Alicia Baumgartner, because what I do like about what she did in her situation is that she fought back, and she has hopefully carved out a path for boxers, that are accused of this, that it could be an error, that you can try to prove that it wasn't. But the problem that I've heard from other boxers that are not in the elite class is that when it's happened to them, they don't have the money to hire attorneys to get independent testing, to go through these appeal processes properly. And so you're stuck with whatever they said it is. That's what it is. So I do like how you can have, an example of how you can maneuver and what you need to do as a boxer when you want to appeal a decision, or a testing. We do need that side of things too.
Absolutely. You just spitting facts right here. I mean, major facts here.
Thanks. I mean, this is just how I feel, but I mean, I'm sure there's 1,000 men somewhere that's going to be like, she doesn't know shit about boxing.
Let them come see me. You know your stuff.
I hear it all the time, so I just do my thing.
At the end of the day, like I said, we'll see. We'll see what happens. To me, I think there's going to be a lot of layers to this in the next coming days, in the next coming weeks. There's going to be a lot of weird plot turns. Let's hope for the best. I mean, you brought up Alicia Baumgartner. That's a good point. I mean, she went out of her way to be able to prove that, obviously, that, there was some false claim there. But we'll see. I mean, Ryan's got the money, so he can't complain about him not having the money because he got the bag for this fight.
Yes, he can get the attorney, so he should be okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Time will tell. But let's talk about Cinco de Mayo this weekend.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, there we go.
You got to sing it.
Cinco, well, I don't sing as good as you do, so I'll do the talking, you do the singing. So this weekend we got Canelo Alvarez against Jaime Munguia for the undisputed 168-pound title. Just like any other fight fan, when I first heard about this fight, I was a little disappointed because obviously we all want to see Canelo fight David Benavidez. But I think this is a really good consolation prize. And the fight, once I started to let it marinate a bit, first of all, I think it's a great fight for Mexicans, right? For Mexico.
Oh, so you saying that you actually was you disappointed at the beginning because it wasn't the monster?
I wanted the monster. I wanted Canelo Benavidez. I think most of the boxing fans out in the world wanted that fight, right? So I'm like, damn, really, like Munguia. But then, like I said, when it started to marinate, I was like, man, this could be a really, really good fight. And now here we are, the day of. I think it's going to be a banger based on styles. But what's your take on it? What do you expect to see tomorrow between these two?
I mean, well, first of all, I guess I'm just like that lone wolf that really didn't want to see Canelo versus Benavidez.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us why.
I mean, I just think it's another weight bully situation. I just feel like he's not really 168 pounds. He squeezes into that division, but now I'm super excited to see him at 175 because I feel like now you're picking on some people that's more like your size, your height. You know what I'm saying? And he's still going to be big in there. So it's going to be, if he can position himself to be the winner of Bivol versus Better BF, dog, I'm going to be like, binoculars. Yeah, just throw him in there with the best of the division. I mean, that's what I say. But
I really like that take. I really like that take. It's different, it's genuine. And now that I think about it, you may be onto something there. But Munguia, I think obviously physically, I mean they faced off today, and Munguia looks solid. He looks like he filled out really, really well at 168. Canelo obviously looks in fantastic shape as always. What do you see tomorrow night?
I don't know what to think about tomorrow night. Do you know how many people have shocked me and are not going for Canelo and they are going for Munguia? I mean, this is truly a defining fight because it's kind of like experienced, well-established boxer, right? Of all the big lights, all that this sport can give you, all the benefits against someone that's coming up the ranks, and then you got youth, you got hungry versus this is what Danny Santiago say, in my silk pajamas.
Weighing in the silk pajamas.
Yeah, literally he comes out of the house with his pajamas on. So you're living a comfortable life now is what we mean, fans. Basically, you will go to all kinds of measures to win when your family is still hungry. And Munguia got a new baby. So, this is a new type of emotion he's going to be feeling in there, that it's not just all about me anymore. It's about me and my family. It's about me and my child. That either gives you a lot of motivation or it makes you lazy as F. Okay. It's only two ways that goes down.
Right.
So I'm interested to see if that is going to be that little extra that Munguia needs in order to power through a really solid punch that's going to come his way with Canelo. Because there is no way at some certain point in this fight, he is going to get hit with some serious power he has never felt before in his life. Because Canelo is solid. I mean, that's solid type power that he has. So I'm still, my verdict is still kind of out. But if I listen to the statistics, then we already know that Canelo could win with it could be what we call a split decision. Now, in my heart, I want Munguia to win all day. Okay. I'm ready to see some new blood in here and gets that, that fire in that boxer, the Mexican style boxer. Munguia was all that. He doesn't mind brawling with you for a minute or two if you get him pissed off enough. So yeah. I'm interested to see that. But we might see that Munguia was rushed into this particular fight. But I'm maybe that experience is a little bit too much because I don't remember Munguia being in an environment that is this hype and has
Right.
domestic holiday, and he has to, his opponent is like a god and a cash cow of boxing right now. So it's, this is like a brand new experience for him. So we have to see if he's going to rise to the occasion and want to claim it. And like, this is going to be mine from now on out. Or if he's going to like show that there's a big gap in experience and talent.
Yeah. Well, interesting take, because I know you said a lot there, but at the end of the day, I think you are riding to pass the torch, right? You think that there's a good possibility that the torch gets passed to Munguia tomorrow.
I mean,
It
I
would
would
be
love to
nice.
see that. I would love to see it if it is.
Yeah,
I
listen,
ain't gonna be mad if it's not because I like Canelo too.
same here. Same here. I mean,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. I want to see a good fight, just like any other fight fan. And I think
exactly.
their styles are going to make for a really good fight. I don't know. Again, I like Munguia. I like his style. To me, defensively, there's some certain things that I think you can't show a guy like Canelo, and that to me is going to be the difference. Um, but at the end of the day, like I said, he throws a lot of punches in volume. Canelo has a tendency to take his time. He starts slow, so I think Munguia can gain some nice momentum in the beginning of that fight. And who knows if that momentum gives him that confidence, and he fights Canelo like Bivol did. Bivol took the fight to Canelo, but of course Bivol's a bigger guy. Something inside me just thinks that Munguia, this moment is a little bit too big for him right now at this point in his career.
Okay.
So I'm going to side with Canelo, but I've been wrong the last few weeks, especially with him. So for my viewers out there, and of course I'm here with Sakura from Boxing Playhouse and your viewers. I don't know if you want to take my bet, but I think I'm gonna go for. I think I'm gonna pick Canelo in this fight. But one thing I will predict that I'm pretty confident about, I think it's gonna be a banger for as long as it lasts. That's just my opinion.
Okay. I mean, I would love to see a banger.
One thing I do want to cover before we wrap it up, and there's a common denominator between both of us with this, and that's Amanda Serrano. That's when we first hooked up for that fight, and met each other there and chopped it up a bit. Obviously, it's been announced that she's fighting Katie Taylor in the rematch on the for the co-main event on the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight, July 20th in Texas, which will be streamed live on Netflix. That's a game changer right there. How do you see that fight? Because the first fight was amazing, but this is and Amanda, her last couple of fights have been 3-minute rounds. I'm sorry, 3-minute rounds. We were actually there for the first woman's 3-minute round fight, and that was Serrano in the main event. This is going to be 2 minutes for what Amanda Serrano announced, because Katie Taylor calls the shots and she wants 2-minute rounds, not 3. What do you think about the 3-minute rounds compared to the traditional women's 2-minute rounds? Do you think that it should be normal, that they should fight under the same rules as the males, or do you think that the 2-minute rounds is where it should be because that's where it's always been?
Well, 2 points. Well, one, I feel like it should be up to the boxers. The female boxers, let them decide individually, as when contracts are made. Let it be on them to decide whether they want 2 minutes or 3 minutes. But saying no, they can't, and that we don't recognize 3 minutes for women is more like somebody dictating. And we don't need that because the men aren't dictated. So why should the women be dictated?
Amen.
But also, second point is women do already spar in the gym with men mostly. They are sparring with men because there ain't that many women for them to spar. And they already go 3 minutes most American boxers, that's females, go 3-minute sparring, sessions. So I feel like they can do it if they want to, but a lot of women I speak to, they're like, well, we can keep it at 2 because they ain't trying to pay us no more. You know, we already underpaid. And then if we add on an additional minute, now you really getting over, with an additional minute, and you're not going to pay us for that. We're not going to get compensated. A boxer like Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, they would get compensated for that. But then you got a whole nother tier of boxers, female boxers, that aren't getting paid anything close to what they get paid. I mean, so it's small baby steps that's being made. And we thank Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor and Clarissa Shields and uh Cruz Deshawn. Like we thank all of them for being there on that top level to try to drive up prices. Like basically to drive up the fee that these women all the way down are getting. But we have to definitely recognize, like, hey, I don't want to go on a job and work more time and get paid the same. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that. So why should they do that? So that's a big barrier to to the 3-minute rounds. But definitely, if females want to do that, they should be able to do that. And I think that is the way that Amanda Serrano had it, to where she was saying, like, it should be up to us what we want to do, not because somebody who isn't around us doesn't know our bodies, doesn't know what we do physically, to be deciding that. And people like to say, like, oh, well, a woman's brain and a woman's body is smaller and than men. We already know that. Well, they ain't fighting men. Okay, like that only makes sense to me if they was going in the ring and fighting a man. Then you definitely don't want them to go longer time. We're talking about a woman who's a certain size fighting another woman that's a certain size. There's no reason why it's equal footing. So anyway, I just hate the fact that we got to still be having this conversation, because 5 or 6 years ago, when I first started the podcast, and I had a ladies' night, and that's just a shame that we're still talking about, like, this is an issue. It's like, come on now. But it's definitely in Katie Taylor's advantage to be 2-minute rounds. I can see why she wanted that, just because, based on the first fight, if there was a 3-minute round in that first fight, especially in that, I believe it was the 8th round or 9th round, one of them rounds where she was like on her feet out, she was still going through. Yes.
Had one more minute.
Yeah.
That fight might have been over. I know exactly what you're talking about. I think it was round 8.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yes. Thank you. So that's what I mean. Is like, I can see why she wouldn't want to do 3 minutes, because that wouldn't be in her favor. But Amanda Serrano is an amazing fighter. I do believe she won that first fight. I would have rather been her in that fight, to be honest with you. But Katie Taylor had picked her moments and her spots, and she got out early on some of those rounds. She's a great fighter in her own right as well. So whatever they decided they wanted to do, I'm down with it. Like, we know that it was made by the 2 women at least, and not by men that just want to keep women in a certain box.
Facts. And this is the reason why I wanted to bring you here and talk about this subject, man. I mean, you just broke it down. Yeah. And I agree with everything that you said. Who wins this fight? Who do you think wins the rematch?
I gotta go with Amanda Serrano. But Amanda Serrano has not been facing, like, her last 2 fights, I don't think were as competitive as Katie Taylor's last 2 fights against Cameron. So to me, like, it seemed like Katie Taylor is had more elite competition. However, it is also a situation where so Amanda is having to move up and wait for this fight. And the first one, it didn't seem to have as much issue, but I believe she would have got Katie out of there if she didn't move up for that fight. So it has its caveats that make it, like, a little less in favor of her style of boxing when you move her up and she puts on that additional weight. So we'll have to see how that pans out, but I'm going for Amanda Serrano because I did think that she actually won that first fight. And I'm assuming it's going to be a similar situation where she knows her girl, like she knows Katie Taylor now. They've been in the ring before, and then she knows about when it is that Katie starts looking and feeling a little tired. But Cameron wasn't able to actually benefit from fighting her that one time when they went in the rematch. It was like a totally different style of boxing that Katie ended up, using in that second fight. And so Cameron wasn't able to really just be able to hone in on that and take advantage of it because it's a different Katie, which tells me that she can switch up styles, and kind of give you a different look.
Absolutely. I agree. I'm taking Serrano in the rematch as well.
Yes.
She showed me something in that first fight. I think that there's something that she knows that she left something there out on the table, and she's going to go snatch that up this time around the second time.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that Katie Taylor took this. I never really thought that there'd be a rematch, to be honest with you. But much props. Like I said, the women, they do it up just like the males, and they deserve their respect. They do it up, man. So much respect. But listen, I had a blast chopping it up here with you. I really did. But I'm going to open it up. So my viewers, where can my viewers find you?
That's what it is, at Boxing Playhouse. And it's a couple of different platforms. And then if you're on Facebook, it's Playhouse Entertainment, which is just Playhouse Enter, as at sign. So yeah, please take a look at us, like, share, whatever you can do to support a female in the game. I would appreciate it. And I thank you, Johnny, for giving me a platform to be able to, reach some other followers and see if somebody likes my style.
I appreciate you coming on here. And we spoke about this offline. You were one of the inspirations, that pushed me to say,
Oh,
I think I'm going to get this started. So I definitely appreciate you. You know your stuff. Again, for my viewers, make sure y'all check out Boxing Playhouse. And for my viewers, if you're new to watching, please subscribe. This is how we do it up here at the Hangout Spot. Make sure you're along for the ride. But again, you're always welcome back at the Hangout Spot. We will continue to do this. We got a lot more fights coming up. So don't be surprised if you get another invite to come on here. Because once you come on the Hangout Spot, you are family, like I said earlier. So
love it. Me and Emilio got to come and play some pool, or that Pac-Man machine back there is calling me.
That's right. You're always welcome. But again, I appreciate you coming on. And as always, I appreciate the support. This is your boy Johnny signing out from the Hangout Spot with Sakura from Boxing Playhouse. And I will talk to everybody soon.